How's it going, guys? This is the Core 3 from fightinggamesonline.info, and I'm back with another fighting game tips and definitions. This time it is part 4, and what we're going to talk about here is tactical spacing. All right. Now, as we discussed in a previous video, controlling space is an important part of playing fighting games, but attacks aren't the only thing that you should probably be thinking about. All right. Most fighting games have two basic positions, right? You have the neutral position, also known as the mid-screen, which covers a certain portion of the center area, right? And then you have the corner position, which acts kind of as a dead end, both on the left and the right-hand side of the environment, all right? So just to give you kind of so we'll just restart. And as you can kind of see, now I'm kind of backed into the corner. And then I'll just go to the other side. And then he's kind of backed into the corner on the right-hand side. All right. So as the player, your main objective is to force your opponent out of the neutral and into the corner. And you may have already guessed, but you don't want to be in the corner. You see, the neutral position gives you more options. All right. And let's just take a look at that. Right. See, when you're in of course, the neutral position, right, you can kind of move forward, back, up. You have just have a lot of options essentially to move, right? But let's move me to, of course, the left corner. Oops. Yeah. Right. Now, if I'm in the corner, then those options are now limited, right? I can't really move forward because, of course, the opponent is in the way. So the only options I really have, essentially, is going up this way and then basically jump that way, right? So those are pretty much my only two options outside of trying to just go straight through the opponent with an attack or something like that, all right? So this is why you always want to fight and maintain a neutral position while working to push your opponent into the corner, as it's a higher ground in fighting games, so to speak. Position also comes into play when it comes to your character of choice. All right, so here we have Dalsim, and Dalsim basically is a character who is designed to kind of stay within a basic, based on his normals, is designed to stay within a certain distance of the character. And as you can see here, you see how far his normals reach, kind of, right? That's his normal, right? See how far his normals reach. So because he has this sort of distance, this is basically his most, his safest position to be at, in terms of, this is where you kind of want to be during the match. You don't really want to be anywhere else during the match because basically this is his best position, right? But Zangief, on the other hand, is a lot different. Zangief, on the other hand, basically is a character who basically is a grappling character. So because he's a grappling character, you always kind of want to be within grabbing distance of your opponent, right? Because that's what he does. He grabs. All right. So essentially, that's kind of the best position for him to be in. That's his, kind of his good position. Okay, being up close. All right. Ryu is a more balanced character and can change his position based on the opponent. Okay, so for the most part, he can stay in the mid range, but let's say he's fighting against Dawson here, right? So you'll have more an advantage if you get closer than staying in the mid range, right? Because of course Dawson is a character who kind of likes to have distance in order to stay safe. Whereas of course Ryu, because he has fireballs, because he has, kind of ways to get in close, he's definitely going to want to stay close to Dawson as he can. That's his best position against Dawson, okay? Whereas of course, With Zangief, of course, it's the opposite. You kind of want to stay away from your opponent as much as possible, and basically, of course, as they say, chuck plasma, basically. To keep him as far back as possible, you just basically want to play a distance game with Zangief. You don't want to get close to him at all. So as you can see, he's kind of, like I said, Ryu is kind of a character that could kind of operate in different ways, compared to the Zangief and Dalsum, which are two totally different characters in a sense. All right. So when you're trying to figure out your character's best position, you want to consider all of your normals and special moves. How near or far do you usually have to use them when you're fighting against a certain character. Like, for example, with Ryu, like I said, he has the fireball, so you know that he can keep, a certain range from his opponent, right? And you kind of still, but he has things like, his uppercut. So you kind of want to stay within a range where you can use both of these, both his fireball and his uppercut. If some player tries to come, of course, and try to jump attack you, right? And then of course you also have his hurricane kick, which can be useful at times. It's not the most ideal move to use, but you kind of see that you kind of have to get within a distance in order to really make use of it, right? But for the most part, you're probably going to end up relying mostly on your fireball and your dragon punch, right? And maybe every once in a while you might just throw out this kick, but that's very rare, right? So hopefully you kind of get the gist of what I'm basically trying to say, all right? So remember that staying away from the corner means that you are constantly challenging your opponent in the neutral position as you attempt to fight for an advantage. I'll definitely talk about this some more when we get into combo creation, but for now, take some time and figure out what the best position is for your character, okay? In the next video, we'll be covering one of my favorite aspects of fighting games, mix-ups.